Happy Friday from Tom and Jack. Royal Rumble weekend, mate. It's the best weekend in wrestling. I'm just saying.
I can't believe it's here already. I can't believe it's here already. I can't believe it's been only a year since the last one.
What was your first Royal Rumble?
That I remember. 2001. Ooh.
Nice year, that. That was
very
like
good.
Kane got really frizzy hair and eliminated loads of people.
Yeah, it's like we're talking about wine. Oh, good year.
A good vintage.
What was yours?
The first one I watched live was probably, I'm old, and so I didn't watch it live. I think the first one I remember was 1992, which was the
very good year.
Very good year. Good vintage. Good vintage. That was of course Flair doing the whole thing. If you watch one Rumble, as I'm sure a few lads at Cultaholic are desperate to watch some Rumbles since they've not watched many lately. Watch 92 or 2001. Anyway, enough chat. Here's some wrestling news. Goldberg blasts the soft WWE locker room. The reason Alex Shelley missed Impact Hard to Kill has been revealed. And we have backstage details on WWE signing Meiko Satomura. We'll get to it in a bit. Goldberg returning to the wrestling has caused some headlines since his moment on Raw where they ran out of time and he pushed Drew McIntyre over. A lot of people have had something to say about Goldberg's return. And Goldberg was talking about all manner of things on After the Bell with Corey Graves this week, wasn't he, Jack?
He was. He was talking especially, about the WWE locker room. So Corey Graves asked Goldberg about Undertaker's recent comments on the Joe Rogan podcast, where he basically said that in my day there was some tough guys in the locker room and some of them had guns and knives and now they've only got video games, and that prompted a bit of a response. I listened to some of the Undertaker's podcast and I didn't catch that actual bit, but the rest of it seemed quite nice to listen to, and I was like, oh, when does this take its horrible turn? But Goldberg did agree with Undertaker's comments about the product being soft these days. He said, maybe so. When you hear comments of me coming back and doing 1 or 2 matches a year and people are like, he doesn't deserve it, he doesn't pay his dues, he was never on the road, people forget very quickly what all of us did back in the day to earn the spot that we are in now. I'm one of the luckiest guys in the world, but yes, I believe comparatively the business is soft. But the business is in 2021, so things have to change and things have to be different. There are a couple of people who have forced their way up and they've earned their shot, and Drew McIntyre is one of them. When I was talking to Drew in the beginning, the promo that he cut when he challenged Drew for the Royal Rumble, I was speaking to the whole locker room, which is convenient, Tom, because a lot of people have seemed to suggest that Drew's first part of that promo was cut for time, so Goldberg's response made no sense because he was responding to nothing. I was speaking to everybody, and he's the leader. Roman Reigns would be cross about that. So you have to go to the leader and make sure that everything's taken care of in the right way, because we're men. He didn't say because we're men, I've added that on. Times are quite different than they were back in the day. People are soft. People take offense to things way too quickly. Get a little thicker skin, boys and girls. That's all I can say. Goldberg, who has fought Jericho and Matt Riddle for things they've said in the past, and not fought Matt Riddle. Anyway, when Legends came in, when I was in the business in the beginning, I was greatly appreciative of the eyes that they brought to our product. One day, those young kids are going to be in a position just like me, and I hope that karma comes back to bite them in the ass. That's all I can say, because at 54 years old, I don't know one of them that can be doing what I'm doing. Shut up, man. Shut up. Shut up, Bill. Is he trying to be a heel? Woo! Is this like storyline, or is this really?
It's on After the Bell with Corey Graves. So
true.
There's a pinch or a truckload of salt that you should take with comments like that. But it does kind of fall in line with some of the Goldberg comments over the years, where it is a bit like, like you say, like he's fallen out with guys like Riddle, who he sees as disrespectful and don't quite know where the line is on things like that. And I think that the discussion on the shape of the locker room and the status of the locker room has, since Undertaker's podcast, come up in multiple different places. Not only was Goldberg talking about it on After the Bell, but Devon Dudley had something to say about it on Table Talk as well, his podcast.
Yes, Devon Dudley also blasted the disrespectful wrestlers of today. He said, nowadays in this business, the young guys that are brought up in this business, they are disrespectful. They're rude. Listen, Generation X, which is my generation, the Attitude Era, we had attitude. But there is one thing that I will say about my generation is that we respect those that came before us. That's one of the problems that we have with a lot of young talent. Drew McIntyre, Rusev and Sheamus, they always had respect for the older talent that came in and always wanted to pick our brains. It was great being in the locker room with those guys. It really was. So he's kind of gone. There's a hard pivot in the middle of that, isn't there? From when he's gone, everyone sucks, everyone's disrespectful, apart from Drew, Sheamus, and Rusev. But
they're the only three.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming that he means there's others as well. But I feel like, how do I explain this?
Well, talking about my generation, people try to put us down just because we get around. Things they do look awful cold, but I hope I die before I get old. The words of Biffy Clyro, I think, are perfectly summarising how we feel on the matter. Do you agree?
Yes. I think that there's always going to be innovation, isn't there? I don't mind people saying that it's important to recognise what people have done before you in your given field and stuff, and that's obviously fair enough. That's obviously all cool, but in the wrestling business, it often seems like that has too deep a reverence, in my opinion. And even just saying that is going to make some traditionalists think, oh, no, respect for his elders. Well, I'm on YouTube, who cares? So I think that there's always going to be people who innovate. I mean, Devon and them didn't exactly follow the letter of the law, did they, when they started putting people through tables and setting themselves on fire? Like, there's always going to be things done differently, and there's always going to be the older crowd who don't like the way that things have moved on. And that seems to be what's happening now. And I don't really know what to think of that.
We're in a weird little generational turn, I feel like, with wrestling. And I think Undertaker's comments have kind of brought it to the front on how mindsets have changed. And it's easy to interpret when people say, like, oh, it's a soft generation. It's easy to interpret that as a negative, when really all it is a more accepting generation, I feel, to an extent. I sort of feel how it goes. And there'll be a lot more said and a lot more discussed about comments from people like Goldberg and Devon in the weeks to come. A lot of comments were made about the absence of Alex Shelley from Impact Wrestling's Hard to Kill pay-per-view. We were set to see Alex Shelley team with Chris Sabin and Rich Swann to face Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers. We found out 24 hours before that pay-per-view that Alex Shelley was unable to be there. Didn't elaborate on why. Well, yesterday on Twitter, he gave us a bit of insight, didn't he, Jack?
He did. He gave us the reason, or his side of the story even, why he missed the Impact pay-per-view, saying, I've read theories on why I wasn't at Hard to Kill. They ranged from injury to illness to getting arrested to harming my family members and attempting to cover it up, because people just took this and went a bit wild with it. I'm a physical therapy clinician. Physio is my livelihood and career. Wrestling is my livelihood and passion project. And my company, due to the volume of sick and injured patients we were in care of, we modify our COVID-19 mandates as needed. As the numbers went up, so did restrictiveness. To circumvent the topic, I could not be at Hard to Kill due to my career. I respect the decisions made by our company surgeons and doctors. I look to them for advice and guidance. I'm unable to travel and wrestle until I am vaccinated, so I took every caution I could beforehand. I want to wrestle very badly while I help people in therapy, so there's just no option. Impact Wrestling was supportive and understanding, and as someone who doesn't have nor want a contract at this point, my hands were tied. Thank you for your support, everyone. Fair enough. That's good for him.
What a shame that people were accusing him of harming his family.
I know, that's absolutely outrageous. Thankfully, that's not something that I saw, so hopefully it was just like one or two people being a bit, because it didn't seem to spread too much, that one, unless I've totally missed it. But no, good for him, especially the idea of, there being just too many people he's looking after for him to be able to do wrestling. I think he's very much got his priorities in order, it seems like, and that's very good to see.
I think speculation can be a dangerous thing.
Yeah, it can.
So let's speculate on why WWE are filing a lawsuit against the US Citizenship and Immigration Service. This has been revealed by PW Insider. What's going on, Jack?
Well, they've said that one would think it's centered around the company not being able to either get a talent or an employee into the United States. A process that was greatly exacerbated, again according to PW Insider, under the Trump presidency due to policy change. Court records indicate that immigration has not yet been served with the lawsuit, but they have 60 days to respond. Who are they trying to get in? Who do you think that might be, if they are indeed trying to get someone in?
Well, there's quite a few options. I mean, it does lead on to our final story. Whether that sheds any light on it, I do not know. But with that lawsuit, we'll keep an eye on that one and see what that is. Because as we're about to discuss, yesterday they officially announced that Meiko Satomura is part of NXT UK. So she's travelled from Japan, and now she's living in the UK. She's based in London now, we understand. Tell us a little bit about what we can expect from Meiko Satomura in NXT UK and WWE, Jack.
Well, I mean, I think that she'll be really cool to see on screen and doing her thing in sort of a veteran way. But at the same time, maybe they've hired her as a sort of coaching role as well, maybe, because she's just so experienced and so valuable in that sense. We saw her in the Mae Young Classic, where she was awesome. And she's got ties in England already. I remember I used to go to Fight Club Pro shows in Wolverhampton, and she was there quite a lot. It seems like she knows quite a few people in the British scene, or certainly did through that partnership they had. So maybe that's why. So I think even though we can probably expect to see her on screen and doing some cool stuff, because she hasn't really slowed down in the ring, she's still phenomenal. I do think that this could also be in a sort of mentorship role also.
You are right, actually. This is a bit of an unprecedented deal. So Nikan Sports have reported that Satomura has signed as a player coach for WWE. Okay. And not only that, she will also continue to be the president of the Sendai Girls Pro Wrestling Company. And she will continue to participate in that promotion. So this is WWE allowing Satomura into their company, into the NXT UK to be as you say, a player coach type role, but then continuing other endeavors away from WWE.
How does she do it? She walked into Fight Club Pro.
Meiko Satomura.
She walked into Fight Club Pro and she took the top belt as well. She took the top belt. She was champion for a while. I mean, it helps that she's still really, really good in the ring. But I don't know how she keeps doing that when poor Goldberg's stuck on the sidelines, only getting a world title every 6 months or so. It's craziness.
Justice for Goldberg.
Get him in the performance center, telling everyone to stop being nice to each other. Have some respect. But
will Goldberg leave this weekend as WWE champion? We'll have our say in the predictions later on today on the Cultaholic YouTube channel. Don't give yours away, Jack. Let's wait and let's put the next video along there. What's the big question on the podcast this week, though?
The big question is, what's the best match going to be at the 2019 Royal Rumble, at the 2021? Wow. I'm 2 years out. What's the best match going to be at the 2021 Royal Rumble? We've got the Men's Rumble, the Women's Rumble. We've got the 2 world title matches in the men's divisions. And also we've got the women's tag team title match. And we all have differing opinions and a right laugh at the same time.
Find out later on today. Stick around on the Cultaholic YouTube channel. Plenty more to come. Do not look away from the channel all day, because things will keep appearing. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.